All right, Nick, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Everyone knows what the Bears are doing with the first overall pick. Up to this point, we're all, I would say, 99.9% sure they're going to go ahead and grab Caleb Williams with that first overall pick. But there is an interesting way that the Bears have gone about making sure that is exactly what they were going to do and not having any second thoughts. I'm going to get into the article. I'm curious what your thoughts are on it on the other side. It's actually a tweet from X, and it says, from at I'm bearing down, it says, Caleb Williams talking about the Bears, the day the Bears traded away Justin Fields. Here are the thoughts on Pohl's process here. He said, I didn't do my top 30 visit yet. They didn't have my medicals. It was just very unexpected in that instance. So, Nick, it seems as if the Bears went ahead and got rid of Justin Fields and committed to getting Caleb Williams before meeting with him and before having any of his medical workups as well. This is a pretty interesting concept, pretty crazy in my opinion. I'm curious what your thoughts are, but Bears fans, in the comment section below, I think this is going to be a draft where the Bears hit it out of the park. It seems like they have some great picks lined up. I think they have some great thoughts, but hasn't always been that way. Let us know in the comments below, who's your biggest Bears draft bust of all time? Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this interesting, to say the least, process by the Bears?
I think it's a really smart move by Ryan Poles in the front office because we've seen it happen, it seems, virtually every offseason through this draft process where there's a really phenomenal quarterback whose tape is absolutely redunculous, and then something comes up and the quarterback then falls or slides down draft boards a little bit, and he's a great player, but then suddenly people look at some minute detail and they kind of talk themselves out of the obvious move. You go back to last offseason, it's a perfect example of it, right? You had C.J. Stroud. I know a lot of people had him neck and neck with Bryce Young, but after the regular season and postseason ended, after C.J. Stroud had this just an incredible run of performances, like against Ohio State, for example, and then you can actually compare the height and weight and just dimensions of Stroud and Young. I think everyone was like, yeah, C.J. Stroud's 1A, Bryce Young's 1B. And then there were reports of a cognitive test analysis that was done, and C.J. Stroud reportedly didn't do so hot on that. And then suddenly, with that, all of a sudden, Bryce Young became the number one guy. C.J. Stroud became the number two guy. In fact, for those of you who want to remember even more, around this time, a week before the draft last season, Will Levis had actually become the odds-on favorite to be the number two quarterback selected. Will Levis, the number two quarterback over C.J. Stroud, for a lot of those same concerns. Right, that's just a lot of teams, that's just a lot of scouts, a lot of front offices talking themselves out of a sure thing. We all saw C.J. Stroud play in college. He was phenomenal. He was ridiculous. Highest level of college football at Ohio State. Clutch performer, big numbers, all the physical tools, great leader, literally checked every single box. But because of one little minute detail, Stroud fell down draft boards, and in fact, some teams evidently thought Will Levis was higher than C.J. Stroud. The Bears, Ryan Poles, and this is not uncommon, by the way. We've seen this happen a number of times through the draft process. A really good example of this, if you go back to 1998, a lot of people were concerned that Peyton Manning wasn't as good as Ryan Leaf, strictly on some measurables, looking at his dimensions, like at the combine and pre-draft stuff. They said, Peyton Manning, his arm strength, is his velocity, the true number one guy. Things like that, right? And obviously the Colts made the right move going Manning instead of Leaf, but there's a lot of people that thought Manning had fallen behind Leaf based on that pre-draft process. But credit to Ryan Poles and the Bears for saying, listen, we're not going to even open up that opportunity. We're going to trade away Justin Fields and commit 100% really early to Caleb Williams. And look, let's say if something drastically bad would have happened, like if it comes out that, Williams has, a brand new hip or something ridiculous like that, they obviously could have still drafted Jane Daniels or something. So it wasn't like a complete, throw everything, Caleb Williams or bust. But they said, listen, we are not going to allow ourselves to be persuaded at all based on anything we hear in the media, any sort of weird draft process concept. We are going to get rid of Justin Fields. We are going to commit 100% to Caleb Williams. He will be our focus with the number one overall pick, undeniably, undoubtedly. And I think that was a really smart move because, again, going back to last offseason and many offseasons before, there were a lot of teams that talked themselves out of sure things. The Bears, to their credit, didn't fall for it.
Yeah, Nick, and I akin this a little bit to like being in a bad relationship and getting the courage, getting the nerve up to break up with that person. What do you do when that happens? You block their phone number, You delete all of your social media accounts so you don't see the pictures of them on vacation or anything. You don't want to tempt yourself to try to go back to that thing that hurt you so many times before. By saying, ooh, look at this new thing in Pittsburgh. It looks really nice. Maybe we made a wrong decision here. No, they went ahead and like whole hog just, burned the boat, said, all right, we're focusing on getting a new quarterback, most likely Caleb Williams at that point, but we're getting a new quarterback with our first overall pick. We don't want anything to distract us, like you said. So I think this is, like you alluded to, great decision by the Bears to just say, hey, I know there's things that come out. It's always easy to slip back in and say, hey, well, Justin Fields had a flash here, had a flash there. No, you need to move on. You need to go forward with your organization. I think they've done a great job just overall, just doing really smart things this season, this whole offseason. And I'm glad that they made this move. I think Caleb Williams is going to be the answer for them here. I think it's going to be a really great decision for them. And I'm glad that they went ahead and committed to getting him in, that number one pick without even knowing all the details. Because what they do is we did the research. We know what this guy's capable of. We know his talents. We know his physical skills. We've seen what he can do. We're going to trust our process that this is the right guy. So this hats off to the Bears. I think this is a really great decision by them.